Hello, hello, hello. It is day 52 of reading the Bible in a year, and there's 4 chapters to read today. Yay. And I've just had a look ahead at the next book, and it is basically a repeat of Leviticus. Like the end of Exodus and the begin and all of Leviticus in less words, but yeah. So let's get started reading. The law concerning vows. Then Moses spoke to the heads of the tribes concerning the children of Israel, saying, "This is the thing which the Lord has commanded. If a man makes a vow to the Lord, or swears an oath to bind himself by some agreement, he shall not break his word. He shall do according to all that proceeds out of his mouth. Or if a woman makes a vow to the Lord, and binds herself by some agreement while in her father's house in her youth, and her father hears her vow, and the agreement by which she has bound herself, and her father holds his peace, then all her vows shall stand, and every agreement with which she has bound herself shall stand. But if her father overrules her on the day that he hears, then none of her vows nor her agreements by which she has bound herself shall stand. And the Lord shall release her, because her father overruled her." If indeed she takes a husband while bound by her vows, or by a rash utterance from her lips, by which she bound herself, and her husband hears it, and makes no response to her on the day that he hears it, then her vows shall stand, and her agreements by which she has bound herself shall stand. But if her husband overrules her on the day that he hears it, he shall make void her vow which she uttered with her lips, by which she bound herself, and the Lord will release her. Also, any vow of a widow or a divorced woman by which she has bound herself shall stand against her. If she vowed in her husband's house, or bound herself by an agreement or with an oath, and her husband heard it, and made no response to her, and did not overrule her, then all her vows shall stand, and every agreement by which she bound herself shall stand. But if her husband truly made them void on the day he heard them, then whatever proceeded from her lips concerning her vows, or concerning the agreement binding her, it shall not stand. Her husband has made them void, and the Lord will release her, every vow and every binding oath, to afflict her soul. Her husband may confirm it, or her husband may make it void. Now if her husband makes no response to whatever to her from day by day, then he confirms all her vows, or all the agreements that bind her. He confirms them, because he made no response to her on that day that he heard them. But if he does not make them void after he has heard them, then he shall bear her guilt. These are the statutes. Oh my word. I mean, like, that bit has one verse concerning a man, and the rest of it, 14 verses concerning women. Why? There's no equality there at all. Anyway, let's carry on reading. Vengeance on the Midianites. Isn't Moses married to a Midianite? And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Take vengeance on the Midianites for the children of Israel. Afterward you shall be gathered to your people. So Moses spoke to the people, saying, Arm some of yourselves for war, and let them go against the Midianites to take vengeance for the Lord on Midian. 1,000 from each tribe of all the tribes of Israel you shall send to war. So there were recruited from the divisions of Israel 1,000 from each tribe, 12,000 armed for war. Then Moses sent them to war, 1,000 from each tribe. How many times do you have to repeat that? He sent them to war with Phinehas the son of Eleazar the priest, with the holy articles on the signal trumpets in his hand. They warred against the Midianites, just as the Lord commanded Moses, and they killed all the males. They killed all the kings of Midian, and the rest of those who were killed. The kings of Midian, Balaam the son of Beor, they also killed with the sword. And the children of Israel took the women of Midian captive with their little ones, and took a spoil of all their cattle, all their flocks, and all their goods. They also burnt with fire all the cities where they dwelt, and all their forts. And they took all the spoil and the booty of man and beast, returned from war. Then they brought the captives, the booty and the spoil, to Moses, to Eleazar the priest, and to the congregation of the children of Israel, to the camp in the plains of Moab by Jordan, across from Jericho. And Moses and Eleazar the priest and all the leaders of the congregation went to meet them outside the camp. But Moses was angry with the officers of the army, with the captains over the thousands and the captains over the hundreds, who had come from the battle. And Moses said to them, Have you kept all the women alive? Look, these women caused the children of Israel, through the counsel of Balaam, to trespass against the Lord in the incident of Peor. And there was a plague among the congregation of the Lord. Now therefore kill every male among the little ones, and kill every woman who has known a man intimately. But keep alive for yourselves all the young girls who have not. As for you, remain outside the camp 7 days. Whoever has killed any person and whoever has touched any slain, purify yourselves and your captives on the 3rd day and on the 7th day. Purify every garment, everything made of leather, everything made of woven goat's hair, and everything made of wood. Then Eleazar the priest said to the men of war who had gone to the battle, This is the ordinance of the law which the Lord had commanded Moses. Only the gold, the silver, and the bronze, and the iron, and the tin, and the lead, everything that can endure fire, you shall put through the fire. It shall be clean, and it shall be purified with the water of purification. But all that cannot endure the fire you shall put through water. And you shall wash your clothes on the 7th day, and be clean. Afterward you may come into the camp. Divisions of the plunder. Now the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Come up on the count up the plunder that was taken of man and beast, you and Eleazar the priest and the chief fathers of the congregation, and divide the plunder into 2 parts, between those who took part in the war and who went out to battle, and the congregation. And levy a tribute for the Lord on the men of war who went out to the battle. 1 of every 500 of the persons, the cattle, the donkeys, and the sheep. Take it from their half and give it to Eleazar the priest as a heave offering to the Lord. And the children of Israel's half you shall take 1 of every 50, drawn from the persons, the cattle, the donkeys, and the sheep, from all the livestock, and give them to the Levites, who keep charge of the tabernacle of the Lord. So Moses and Eleazar the priest did as the Lord commanded Moses. The booty remaining from the plunder which the men of war had taken was 675,000 sheep, 72,000 cattle, 61,000 donkeys, 32,000 persons in all, women who had not known a man, and the half of the portion of those who had gone out of the war was in number 337,500 sheep. Wow. And the Lord's tribute of the sheep was 675. And the cattle was 36,000, which the Lord's tribute was 72. From the cattle, 1 of every 50. Okay. The persons were 16,000, of which the Lord's was 32 persons. So Moses gave the tribute, which was the Lord's heave offering, to Eleazar the priest, and as the Lord commanded Moses, and from the children of Israel's half, which Moses had separated from the men who fought. Now half the belonging of the congregation was 337,500 sheep, 36,000 cattle, 30,500 donkeys, and 16,000 persons. And from the children of Israel's half, Moses took 1 of every 50 drawn from man and beast, and gave them to the Levites who kept charge of the tabernacle of the Lord, as the Lord commanded Moses. Then the officers who were over the thousands of the army, the captains of the thousands, the captains of the hundreds, came near to Moses. And they said to Moses, "Your servants have taken account of the men of war who are under our command, and not a man of us is missing. Therefore we have brought an offering for the Lord, what every man found of ornaments of gold, armlets and bracelets and signet rings and earrings and necklaces, to make atonement for ourselves before the Lord." Oh, that's nice. So Moses and Eleazar the priest received the gold from them, all the fashioned ornaments, and all the gold of the offering which they offered to the Lord from the captains of the thousands and the captains of the hundreds was 16,750 shekels. Wow, that's a lot. The men of the war had taken spoil, every man for himself. And Moses and Eleazar the priest received the gold from the captains of the as a memorial for the children of Israel before the Lord. The tribes settling east of the Jordan. Ooh. Now the children of Reuben and is it going to number them again? Okay. Now the children of Reuben and the children of Gad had a very great multitude of livestock, and when they saw the land of Jazer, which was the land of Gilead, that indeed the region was place for livestock, the children of Gad and the children of Reuben came up and spoke to Moses, to Eleazar the priest, and to the leaders of the congregation, saying, lots of people, the country which the Lord defeated before the congregation of Israel is a land for livestock, and your servants have livestock. Therefore they said, "If we have found favour in your sight, let us have this land be given to your servants as a possession. Do not take us over the Jordan." And Moses said to the children of Gad and the children of Reuben, "Shall your brethren go to war while you sit here? Now why will you discourage the heart of the children of Israel from going over into the land which the Lord has given them? Thus your fathers did when I sent them away from Kadesh and Barnea to see the land. And when they went to the valley of Eshcol and saw the land, they discouraged the heart of the children of Israel. So they did not go into the land which the Lord had given them. So the Lord's anger was aroused on that day, and he swore an oath, saying, Surely none of the men who came up from Egypt, 20 years old and above, shall see the land of which I swore to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, because they have not wholly followed me. Except Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, and Joshua, the son of Nun, for they have wholly followed the Lord. So the Lord's anger was aroused against Israel for 40 years. And look, you have risen in your father's place, a brood of sinful men, to increase still more the fierce anger of the Lord against Israel. For if you turn away from following him, he will once again leave them in the wilderness, and you will destroy all these people. Then they came near to him and said, We will build sheepfolds here for our livestock, and cities for our little ones. But we ourselves will be armed, ready to go before the children of Israel, until we have brought them to their place. and our little ones will dwell in the fortified cities because of the inhabitants of the land. We will not return to our homes until every one of the children of Israel has received his inheritance, for we will not inherit with them on the other side of the Jordan and beyond, because our inheritance has fallen to us on this eastern side of the Jordan." Then Moses said to them, "If you do this thing, you arm yourselves before the Lord for war, and all your armed men cross over to the Jordan before the Lord until he has driven out his enemies from before him, and the land is subdued before the Lord, and then afterward you may return and be blameless before the Lord and before Israel. And this land shall be your possession before the Lord. But if you do not do so, then take note, you have sinned against the Lord, and be sure your sin will find you out. Build cities for your little ones and folds for your sheep, and do what has proceeded out of your mouth." And the children of Gad and the children of Reuben spoke to Moses, and saying, "Your servants will do as my Lord commands. Our little ones, our wives, our flocks, and all our livestock will be there in the cities of Gilead. But your servants will cross over, every man armed for war, before the Lord to battle, just as my Lord says." So Moses gave command concerning them to Eleazar the priest, to Joshua the son of Nun, and to the priests, the chief fathers of the tribe of the children of Israel. And Moses said to them, "If the children of Gad and the children of Reuben cross over the Jordan with you, every man armed for battle before the Lord, and the land is subdued before you, then you shall give them the land of Gilead as possession. But if they do not cross over armed with you, they shall have possessions among you in the land of Canaan." Then the children of Gad and the children of Reuben answered, saying, "As the Lord has said to your servants, so we will do. We'll cross over armed." So Moses gave to the children of Gad, the children of Reuben, half, and half to the tribe of Manasseh, the son of Joseph, the kingdom of Sihon, king of the Amorites, and the kingdom of Og, king of Bashan, and the land with its cities within the borders, the cities of the surrounding country. And the children of Gad built Dibon and Ataroth and Arurah, Atroth and Shophan and Jazer and Jogbehah, Beth Nimrah and Beth Haran, fortified cities and folds for sheep. And the children of Reuben built Heshbon, Elilah, Kirjathraim, Nebo and Balmeon, their names being changed, and Shibna, and they gave other names to the cities which they built. And the children of Micah, the son of Manasseh, went to Gilead and took it, and disposed the Amorites who were in it. So Moses gave Gilead and to Machir the son of Manasseh, and he dwelt in it. And also Jair the son of Manasseh went and took its small towns, and called them Havoth Jair. Then Noba went and took Kenath and its villages, and he called it Noba after his own name. Very inventive. Chapter 33. Israel's journey from Egypt reviewed. It's not that long, though. It's 2 columns long. It's not that long, really. These are the journeys of the children of Israel who went out of the land of Egypt by their armies under the hand of Moses and Aaron. Now Moses wrote down the starting points of their journeys at the command of the Lord, and these are their journeys according to starting points. They departed from Ramesses in the 1st month, on the 15th day of the 1st month. On the 1st day of the Passover, the children of Israel went out with boldness in sight of all the Egyptians. For the Egyptians were burying all their firstborn, whom the Lord had killed among them. Also on their gods the Lord had executed judgments. The children of Israel moved from Ramesses and camped at Succoth. They departed from Succoth and camped at Etham, which is on the edge of the wilderness. They moved from Etham and turned back to Pi-hahiroth, which is east of Baal-Zephon, and they camped near Migdol. They departed from before Hahiroth and passed through the midst of the sea into the wilderness, went 3 days' journey into the wilderness of Etham, and camped at Merah. They moved from Merah and came to Elim. At Elim were 12 springs of water, 70 palm trees, so they camped there. Oh, that must be nice, a little oasis. They moved from Elim and camped by the Red Sea. They moved from the Red Sea and camped in the wilderness of Sin. They journeyed from the wilderness of Sin and camped at Dophkah. They departed from Dophkah and camped at Alush. They moved from Alush and camped at Rephidim, where there was no water for the people to drink. They departed from Rephidim and camped in the wilderness of Sinai. They moved from the wilderness of Sinai and camped at Kibboth Hattava. They departed from Kibboth Hattava and camped at Hazeroth. They departed from Hazeroth and camped at Rithmah. From Rithmah to Rimmon Perez. From Rimmon Perez and to Libnah. From Libnah to Rissa. From Rissa to Kehelatha. From Kehelatha to Mount Shepher. From Mount Shepher to Harada. From Harada to Makeloth. From Makeloth to Tahath. From Tahath to Terah. From Terah to Mithkah. From Mithkah to Hashmonah. From Hashmonah to Moseroth. From Moseroth to Bene Jaakan. From Bene Jaakan to Hor Haggidgad. From Hor Haggidgad to Jotbathah. From Jotbathah to Abronah. From Abronah to Ezion-Geber. From Ezion-Geber till the wilderness of Zin, which is Kadesh. From Kadesh to Mount Hor, on the boundary of land of Edom. Then Aaron the priest went up to Mount Hor and the command of the Lord, and at the command of the Lord, and died there on the 40th year after the children of Israel had come out of the land of Egypt. I think they skipped over a lot of years because they only got to like the 2nd year of recording. And yeah. Aaron was 123 years old. Oh my word. Now the king of Arad the Canaanite, who dwelt in the south of the land of Canaan, heard the coming of the children of Israel. So they departed from Mount Hor and camped at Zalmonah. From Zalmonah to Punon. From Punon to Oboth. From Oboth to Ijir-Abarim, at the border of Moab. From Ijim, same as Ijir-Abarim, to Dibon-Gad. From Dibon-Gad to Almon-Diblathaim. From Almon-Diblathaim to the mountains of Abarim before Nebo. From mountains of Abarim, they camped in the plains of Moab by the Jordan across from Jericho. They camped by the Jordan from Beth Jesimoth as far as Abel Acacia Grove in the plains of Moab. Instructions for the conquest of Canaan. Now the Lord spoke to Moses in the plains of Moab by the Jordan across from Jericho, saying, "Speak to the children of Israel and say to them, when you have crossed the Jordan into the land of Canaan, then you shall drive out all the inhabitants of the land from before you, and destroy all their engraved stones, destroy all their moulded images, and demolish all their high places. You shall dispose the inhabitants of the land, and dwell in it, for I have given you this land to possess. And you shall divide the land by lot as an inheritance among your families. To the larger you shall give a larger inheritance, to the smaller you shall give a smaller inheritance. You shall inherit according to the tribes of your fathers. But if you do not drive out the inhabitants of the land from before you, then it shall be that those whom you let remain shall be irritants in your eyes and thorns in your side. And they shall harass you in the land before you dwell. Moreover, it shall be that I will do to you as I thought to do to them. Oh. And the evidence of the rest of the Old Testament is kind of God staying with his word. Yeah. All right. Let's stop there for that reading, and I will see you in the next reading, which is coming up soon.